Hi, good evening. I'm Yesa David, and for today's vlog, I'm gonna discuss the things I've learned in one of my courses, GELITWO World or Literatures of the World, as I eat my dinner. So I have my dumplings, some octodogs, and some noodles that I made with hot oil garlic. And I have my notes of bullet points at the side. So I'll be constantly looking this way to help me get through the flow. So for the first module, national and the global, to me, that phrase means that localized events or phenomena can reflect larger societal global issues. So in other words, it's about seeing how the local and global are interconnected. And in this specific module, I will be mainly focusing on societal conformity, which is one of the prevalent issues, not only at the local scale, but also on the global scale. So this can have positive effects such as social cohesion, cultural preservation, and efficiency. On the other hand, it could also have negative effects such as suppression of individuality, stifling of progress, and oppression. So for the first material that I chose for this module, I chose the lottery because the fictional town's tradition of holding an annual lottery and stoning the winner to death showcases how societal conformity and adherence to tradition can prevail over individuality and critical thinking. And this theme reflects the broader concept of how certain harmful traditions or practices can persist in societies on a national or global scale, even when they seem illogical rather, or morally injustifiable. The second material that I chose is El Empleo. It's a clip, and it can be seen as a commentary on societal conformity in the context of work and employment. It portrays the dehumanizing effects of mechanized and hierarchical system that restricts individuality and creativity. And for the third material, Just Lather That's All, the barber in the story is expected to perform his role as a barber and provide a service to his customer. Even though the customer is a known oppressive figure who represents the government, the barber is torn between his role as a barber and his personal beliefs and morals, highlighting the pressure to conform to societal roles and expectations. All in all, to me, it depicts the internal conflict and moral dilemma faced by individuals when navigating societal expectations and their personal beliefs, and that in many cases, even if given the chance, it is not always right for someone to take justice into their own hands. When they do, it may greatly affect the others and may cause a domino effect. So again, in conclusion, national and the global, the module highlights stories that have local problems that can be connected to the global scale as well.
So just a commercial break, I'm gonna eat a bit of my food, just so we can call it a mukbang. So I made the noodles with soy sauce, vinegar, all in Chinese, and hot oil, and chili garlic as well. And then these are packaged dumplings, so I just pan fried them. So let's try the noodles first. the dogs are made with German crowns, and then I just cut them at the end like that to make the tentacles. Now for the dumplings, I think these are made with pork and leeks. So let's try the dumplings. Drop ng dumplings.
We're done with the eating break, so now let's go on to the next module, which is colonial past and colonial present. So in this module, the concepts of colonial past and post-colonial present refer to historical and contemporary periods in which colonization has shaped and continues to shape society. So for the first material, I'm Black, Not Poor is a clip which is a satirical take on the misconceptions or stereotypes about Black individuals and poverty. These stereotypes are not based on reality or inherent characteristics of Black individuals, but are rather a result of systematic racism, discrimination, colonialism, and historical inequalities such as slavery. These historical injustices have had a long-lasting impact on Black communities, contributing to disparities in wealth, education, employment, and other socio-economic factors. That's why in the clip, the co-workers of the Black employee assumes that he's poor, and it ends up with him being, it ends up rather with him saying that he's just Black, not poor. And for the second material, in connection to that, danger of the single story, it's a TED lecture which emphasizes the negative effect or the negative impact of reducing a group or culture to a single simplistic narrative or stereotype. The speaker used her own experiences as examples, and just like the first material, her roommate in college assumed he was or she was just like the first material. Her roommate in college assumed she was poor just because she came from Africa. Now in the Philippines, usually we also see Africa or Africans and assume they're poor or less fortunate, maybe because of what is portrayed in the media, and that we don't see the other sides of Africa. And Africa is a continent, it's not even a country, so we have a lot that we haven't seen yet. And to go back to the point, another example in that material would be that mainstream stories that she often encountered when she was young often prioritize dominant narratives or voices while marginalizing or silencing other perspectives. Again, this has been the case for most minorities as an effect of colonialism. Now for the third material, which is telephone conversations, I'll be focusing on the power dynamics between the landlady and the speaker, with the landlady holding a position of authority as the potential landlord. The speaker, on the other hand, is trying to negotiate and navigate the situation as someone seeking accommodation. This power imbalances echoes the power dynamics that were prevalent during the times of colonialism, where colonizers held superior power and authority over colonized individuals, leading to exploitation and oppression. And overall, this module, I was able to realize how there are still lingering effects of colonialism on individual experiences and relationships, even though we think that we've come so far as a society with movements like anti-racism or anti-sexism, or with famous movements like Black Lives Matter. We think that we've come so far that we still have not um, seen the other lingering effects that these minorities still experience up until this day.
Now another eating break before I continue with the third module.
Now for the third module, titled Roots and Routes, I could say that it all refers to cultural identity. Roots, including our cultural and ancestral heritage, can influence the routes we choose to take in life, the choices we make, and the way we perceive ourselves and others. So, first point being the first material, which is Imaginary Homelands. It explores topics like cultural identity, migration, and diaspora. Rushdie, or the author, reflects on his own Indian heritage and experiences as an immigrant in England and the United States. He discusses how different cultures blend and influence one another and how people can belong to multiple cultures. He also examines the challenges and opportunities of living in different cultural contexts and the impact of migration on one's sense of self and place in the world. And in connection to that, something that is close to that in context is poems of Nina Alexander. In the poems, Alexander often reflects on her roots, which include her Indian heritage and cultural background, as well as her routes, which encompasses her experiences also as an immigrant in the United States. One line I really liked was the poem from Krishna 3:29 a.m. is it says something along the lines of, "You've lost one language, gained another, lost a third," which to me expresses the wisdom of a person who has lived and immersed in the cultures of different countries, gaining and letting go of various identities in the process, in which I think perfectly encapsulates the concept of this module. And lastly, the poem Fire. The persona in the poem longs for their homeland, Puerto Rico, reminiscing about the beaches, blue skies, and healing seas, which are all mentioned in the poem. The struggle of migration is evident as the poem describes how living on a higher floor means being closer to God, but also paying higher rent. Despite living on the sixth floor, while the Irish family may be on the first, the family still inhabits inland brown rooms. And as I've analyzed it, this metaphor suggests that regardless of their position, Puerto Ricans as immigrants may face exclusion, alienation, and being considered as others, again, despite how long they've been there. And in this specific module, I've come to the realization that immigrants often face difficulties into adjusting to their new environment due to cultural differences, lack of familiarity, discrimination, separation from family and friends, and economic challenges, as well as legal and administrative processes, and emotional and psychological factors. And I think that these materials that we have read could serve as tools for awareness in order to develop supportive policies, resources, and communities that can play a crucial role in helping immigrants overcome these challenges and successfully integrate to their new society. Now, I would like to add several takeaways from the class lectures in this course. So, firstly, elements of literary experience can significantly affect our reading experience as learners and readers in a way that it can help us better interpret the readings. With this knowledge, we are able to understand the plot, the motivations under or behind every word or actions of the characters, and the intended meaning of the story. And second, it also helps us become more emotionally engaged to the material that we are reading, which in turn can deepen our connection with the story and the characters, making the experience more impactful. And lastly, the elements are often influenced by the cultural and societal or social context rather in which the material is written. Understanding these contextual elements can deepen our appreciation of the material and also provide insights into the author's perspective, societal norms, and historical background. So, to conclude the vlog, to me, this course is actually, I'm not joking, but this course is actually my favorite for this term because one thing to consider probably is because I read a lot and that may have contributed to it. But with the help of this course, I was able to discover a lot of materials that I wouldn't have found if it weren't for the course and if it weren't for you, sir. And I was also able to understand a lot of perspectives from around the world, from people around the world, from locals, workers, rebels, immigrants, and even to those in the position of authority or power. And I would say that my learnings and insights from this course can contribute to my development by fostering cultural awareness, critical thinking, empathy, communication skills, understanding of social and cultural context, and personal growth. And finally, I believe that these skills and perspectives will make me a more informed and compassionate member of the society, even beyond my stay at DLSU. And with that, I would like to thank you for joining me on this journey through the world of literature. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to continue eating my dinner now, so goodbye!